Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. A lot of times I like to get on here and talk about mind, body, and soul programming. Sometimes I get on here and just tell stories. Let's get into one of those times. I've been telling some biker stories lately, and I guess I'll stick with that theme tonight. It was 2005, and I entered the Rat's Hole Bike Show in Daytona at Bike Week. The Rat's Hole used to be the biggest show. It was the granddaddy of all bike shows. There was lots of bike shows, lots of them, but the Rat's Hole was the biggest. Everybody who's anybody showed up, you name it. All the bike builders you've ever seen on TV, all of them, they all showed up to the Daytona show. I got second place that year. That's good enough for me. Second place was fine. Got to walk up on stage, get a big trophy. Bunch of magazines put you in their, in their magazine for free. You don't have to pay for it. Usually you want to get an article done on you or to get your picture, an Easy Rider. Oh, well, good fucking luck, man. But you get your bike, you get a trophy in the Rat's Hole, at least that's the way it used to be. Then it was guaranteed to get in many of the magazines. The internet really wasn't as big back then, 2005. I don't even know if really MySpace was popping off back then. It just wasn't the same. Now, it's such a shame. The Rat's Hole Bike Show here in Daytona is the worst. It's such a boring, lame-ass show. I don't know what happened to the industry. But it used to be amazing. Tons of people, an ocean of custom bikes, magazines and TV people everywhere. So I was riding on high that year, and I wanted to get more trophies. We had just moved the shop to Daytona from Los Angeles the previous year. So I wanted to rack up some trophies from some big shows and to kind of make my footprint, but also to put some trophies in the showroom so when customers walk in, they say, oh wow, Rat's Hole trophies. So the Leesburg Bike Fest came after Bike Week, and that's here in Florida, Central Florida. Leesburg is north of Orlando. So I went online and signed up for the show and paid my money and figured, okay, let's go get another trophy. This will be easy, because Leesburg is a small event. They got a bike fest that's really only like a weekend, and that'll be an easy trophy to win. And it's the same Rat's Hole trophy, the same plaque, the same company running the show. So I take the same bike out there. I didn't even do a different bike. I didn't change my bike. I just brought the same bike out there. Leesburg is kind of like a black hole. It's like in this little Bermuda Triangle of Central Florida. It's hard to find. I've been there a couple times and I've been over that area. Every time I go to fucking Leesburg, I get lost. I get lost going and coming. Doesn't matter about GPS. Bring 4 GPS systems and a map. You'll get lost. It's just the way it is. But we got there. They got like a main parking lot in town. It's a real small little town, real cute, old world Florida kind of feel. Florida cracker. That's not a racial term. People use that as a racial term. It's not a racial term. Florida cracker. It's the crack of the whip from old cowboys, Florida cowboys. But Leesburg is a cute little town, little tiny town. The event was pretty happening. And I liked it, and I could imagine myself going back there. I've been back there several times since then, but I liked it better than the Daytona rally simply because it was smaller, more local, and seemed like kind of more of a party. Less cops. The cops were just local cops, big fat Florida cops. We enter the Rat's Hole show, and I see some friends. There was a guy that owned, I think it was XXX Cycles, and they were up in Palm Coast, and we had been friends. And then maybe it was my fault, but I kind of turned on him at the show, only because he was bugging me so much. And he grabbed me like 3 times to come over, and no, 2 times. It was the 3rd time I barked at him. He grabbed me twice to go and help one of his customers to start their bike. oh, one of my customers, this chick, the first one, some chick with a white bike, I forget what it was a metric cruiser, and she couldn't get it started. And it had been raining hard and whatever, so I helped her get it started, and we got it started. And then he came and got me a second time to do kind of the same thing. And I'm just standing around in a parking lot, anyways, because that's really all a bike show is. You stand around in a parking lot for 8 hours, wait for him to judge the bike, cross your fingers and toes, you get a trophy, and then you go home. So I go over there, help the second motherfucker, and it's just some person he's friends with, and one of his little customers, part of his little scene. Well, the third time I was standing outside of it was like a restaurant cafe thing, and people can drink in the streets during the event there, and I'm just standing out on the sidewalk with a group of people, and we're kind of overflow from the cafe. And there's people everywhere. Sidewalks are packed. And here comes this motherfucker from Triple X running across the street. He's older than me. And he wants to get me a third time. And I was just like, fuck no, get the fuck out of here. And I barked at him pretty good. And he was pretty soured by what I said to him and by my attitude, and was just like, well, gosh, and walked away all sorry. But I was mad. I was like, fuck you, motherfucker. I didn't come here for this shit. Help every one of your customers. So we went our separate ways. That was the first little bit of drama at the show. It started to rain, pouring torrential fucking rain. The entire streets of Leesburg, the downtown section, most of the stores have these awnings, right? Like cloth awnings or whatever. So people are huddled up against the buildings just waiting for the torrential storm to pass over. It's Florida, it'll pass over quick. But it's going pretty good, and you got thousands, tens of thousands of people just kind of smashed all along the sidewalks all throughout the downtown area, trying to seek cover in any place they can. Got the stage set up in the parking lot, an ocean of bikes. I forget where my business partner was. I don't remember if he was standing next to me or not. I don't think he was. I think he was over by the bikes or in a different area, maybe with his girlfriend. But we had somehow, it's a small town, and we're there all day. We're gonna be there for 10 hours, whatever. There's these two drunk ass chicks, biker hags, older, They turn real masculine. These chicks, they might as well be dudes. I'm not trying to rag on biker chicks, but there's a certain type of Florida biker chick that ends up just real fat and has this Lucille Ball voice because they smoke too much. And they're real aggressive. These two chicks are the same way, just like that. Real big busty. And they're drunk and ornery. And they're in an argument. I just kind of noticed this because they all start talking loud. They're right next to me, and I'm not really paying attention. I can easily be in my own little world, Sky's world, like my email. And they get louder and louder, and I notice that they're arguing. These two drunk chicks are arguing with this guy who's just some redneck. He wasn't a biker or nothing. He's just some redneck motherfucker, just enjoying the event. And they're arguing pretty good. Fuck you, and calling each other's names and, getting into it. It's no longer rational. Now it's descended into a name-calling match. Well, the guy had his back to me. The chicks are facing me, but they're right next to me. The guy pulls out from his back pocket this large pocket knife, and I'm not exaggerating how I open it up. The fucking handle of the knife is like this big. The blade opens up like this. The fucking blade, when the thing's open, you hold it with two hands. It's a ridiculous novelty knife. A big picture of like a wolf and, bullshit on it. It's just a fucking big novelty pocket knife. Like a massive one. Like maybe you would put on your wall or in your man cave or some shit. He pulls this knife on these chicks, and he's like, I'll cut you, bitch. So I grab his fucking wrist and I pull the knife out of his hand. And right there, this fucking fat cop comes walking up and he sees me with a knife. And these three people all with wide eyes, because now I got the knife. The cop puts me on the curb. He just fucking caught a criminal with a knife. He's a hero. This is Barney Fife. Puts me right on the curb. Get on the curb. And I'm sitting there like, but I drop the knife and sit down on the motherfucking curb. I'm not trying to get shot by some fucking Leesburg cop, some rookie cop who's younger than me, as fat as he is tall, shaking. Luckily, these two drunk chicks, they came to my back and they were just like, no, they're all over this cop. And he's like, ma'am, I got this, ma'am. You know, like he's a hero cop. He just saved the day. I'm about to kill everybody there with this knife. He figured it out pretty quick. He wasn't that dense. He was frustrated with all of us. He seemed kind of unsympathetic to the event in general. I think this was one of the first years that Leesburg really put the event off, and maybe the local police force wasn't really into it or something. He didn't seem like, well, welcome to Leesburg, bikers, spend your money. He was just like, all of you. He wanted to take all of us to jail is what it seemed like. He was frustrated with all of us, lined us all up. Right then, I hear the rain is starting to lighten up. I hear on the stage, which is just across the street in the parking lot, the microphone, the guy's on the intercom and he says, all the bike builders need to come over to the stage. We're going to judge right now the show. So it's the end of the show. I'm sitting there on the curb and the cop's got my fucking ID. I don't know what he's going to do. I tell him, hey, I'm from Daytona. I'm just here with my bike in a show right there, man. You heard the guy on the microphone. That's me. I'm one of the bike builders. And he looks around and he just waves me on. He keeps the other three. And I don't know if he took them all to jail. I don't know what he did with the other three. So I hightail it out of there. I'm free now. I'm gone from that situation. The second little drama. I'm out in front of the stage and we get second place. Second place again. I'm a second place motherfucker. That should be my nickname. I should get second place tattooed on my neck. I've got a bunch of second place trophies. The Rat's Hole had me at second place for years. Starts to rain again, another rain cloud. Pouring rain, drenched, pouring rain. Well, they're still in the middle of the judging. They're not done yet. Just because I got my trophy doesn't mean it's done yet, but I'm sick of this fucking place, man. I go start my bike up, and I'm planning on taking it back to where I park my trailer to put it on the trailer. And you know, I'm done. We're done with this bullshit. I got my trophy. That's all I came here for. I'm ready to go fucking back to Daytona. I get the bike. I start the bike up. It's pouring rain. I fire the bike up. At that point, I had no baffles in the bike. I took them out. I put the baffles back in since then. The bike used to be so loud. This was an old Kawasaki that I had. It wasn't a Harley. I entered a Kawasaki and got second place. It was a cheap Kawasaki that I made a bobber out of, a Kawasaki Vulcan. I stole second place from guys that had $100,000 bikes there. Me and my bullshit Kawasaki took your fucking trophy. All these big time big shots. And I'm firing this fucking thing up and it's just rah, rah, rah. And I get it to right about the stage and it conks out on me. And they're still doing their thing on the stage. And I'm sitting there trying to get it started again. And I finally get it started again and I'm just forcing gas through there. Rah, rah. It's just roaring. The bike is just roaring. I bounce it off the curb into a fucking ocean of water that's cruising down the middle of the fucking street. And smash it around the corner back to the parking lot where I had my trailer parked. Well, we drove home with our trophy, and that was a successful event. But on the drive home, my business partner told me, he was like, well, the best part about it was when you started your bike up right in front of the stage. You were right in front of the stage and you were ripping your exhaust just over and over again. And I can see the look on your face, just determined to keep that bike going. You didn't want the water to I had open carburetor with a Bellmouth carb. And I'm just sitting there just, rah, and he's like, the guy on stage doing the announcing for the for the bikes was yelling at you, shut the fuck up, shut that fucking bike up. But all you were doing was drowning him out. Nobody could hear the guy really. They could barely hear him. All they could hear was your bike, and you just sat there, rah, 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 and he was just yelling at you, and then you spun off like a bat out of hell. And he's like, everybody, the entire crowd just sat there and was like, what the fuck? He's like, it was the best thing ever. That was the Leesburg Bike Fest 2005. Thanks for watching.